All right, guys, I got a real quick tip I want to show you, and that's we did the video on sharpening your awl. We're going to now sharpen. I'm going to show you how to sharpen my edgers. So for many years, I couldn't sharpen my edgers very well. I wasn't very good at it. Had a few different ways, and I'd kind of keep them moving and keep them going to where they worked. So this is the way I was shown how to do them, and they work really well. It basically it's going to be very similar to how we sharpen the awls, and I told you I would show you all that. So we're going to get to that real quick. It's going to be real fast. I'm just going to show you exactly how the process we go through to sharpen your edgers. Okay, as you can see here, we've got the two of the same things that we had in the last video in the sharpening the stitching awl video, but this is a piece of emery cloth, same emery cloth that we used on the for the stitching awls. They're exactly the same. This one's kind of used. I've used it quite a bit, but these things last for a while, so don't give up on them too quickly, even when they start kind of looking ragged. And then that piece of paper. Okay, and same thing, it's got the black polishing compound on there. Some people have asked where I get this black polishing compound. You can usually get it at Lowe's or Home Depot. Most of the time it's going to be a smaller like stick, big crayon looking thing in a little plastic kind of container. It'll be by the cloth buffing wheels and stuff like that. I get mine from Weaver Leather, and they come in a bigger brick. And you can get, I think they sell all three colors. There's usually a red, green, and a black. Black's pretty much all I use in the shop. That may change over time the more and more I learn about tools and kind of keeping them maintained and refinishing some old tools. So, but anyway, and also when you buy a Ron's edger, I don't know if anybody else does this, but I bought a set of Ron's edgers last year, and I was very excited to finally get a good set of edgers and a newer set because I've been using the same. Those C.S. Osborne common edgers have been pretty much what I've always used, and like I said, we could sharpen them enough to get them to work, but that was about it. I ordered these, and each one of these came with a rod. So my number 2 came with a rod that is particular for it, and it fits into that slot where the actual cutting blade is in the edger, or the cutting surface. That rod is the same size. So every edger you buy, whatever size you get, and I'm assuming this is still the case, it was when I bought mine, and as far as I know they were always like that, but you get the edger and a rod here. I guess they call it a sharpening stick or rod or something like that. I don't use it as a like a steel, you know, when you're using your culinary knives in the kitchen or whatever, and you can use the steel to kind of, you know, run your knife on there to sharpen them. I don't use them for that. That may be what they're supposed to be used for. I don't know. But what I do is, so the number 5 has this bigger rod here, and that's to fill this area in here. I'll take the emery cloth, and I've got a thinner piece of it, right? And so I take that and I wrap it around there, and then kind of like we were doing on the awl, except here your cutting surface is right there along the edge, down in that channel. And so you've got to kind of play with what the angle is going to be. When you get your edgers first, look at that angle that they have on there, because they're sharp when you get them. And so look at the angle they have and try to remember that. And every time you sharpen them, try to maintain that. Don't lean it over more like this, and don't get up here straight, obviously, because you're going to bore out these points on here. And so, but whatever that angle is, try to maintain that. And you don't really have to work really hard. You can just very easily here with just a little bit of pressure and this emery cloth, you can just move that rod inside there, and you'll start to work that cutting surface. And again, just like on the awls, if you see shiny, then you haven't hit it yet with the emery cloth. If it looks buffed off, then you're probably making some progress. So you want to just kind of watch that area in there as you're sanding to make sure you're maintaining that plane that you want. And so you just kind of do that, and it doesn't take a lot. I mean, unless you've just really hit a nail or something and screwed up your edger, you really don't need to do an hour's worth of sharpening here. You're just kind of correcting her just a little bit, and then we'll take that off and we'll put this paper on there. And again, this is a heavy quality art paper. It's not copy paper. You need something that's a good cotton paper or something that's just a little bit more body. Rub that polishing compound on there. And same thing. You're just going to do the same thing just like you would with the emery cloth. And so that rod is keeping this where it needs to be inside there, maintaining that concaved area in there in the proper form, and your edge will stay really, really nice when you do that. and you're just polishing this with a compound on that paper. And so once you get it edged real good, it should edge off evenly and smoothly. You shouldn't have to really bear down on it just really hard. And if it feels like it's dragging a little bit, go back and do both of those again, and just keep fiddling with it, and you'll end up getting it just the way you want it. Now, I've noticed on mine is sometimes in here, in the very inside from the top, in that channel, you'll see a little bit of leather snag up on there, and it almost seems to me like that's just a little burr because you're sharpening only from this side. So I'll just take the paper, no rod in there or anything, just the paper with a compound, and I'll just real quickly just kind of do that. And that will just knock off, you don't want to do it a bunch, but that'll knock off just a little, whatever that little burr was on the top. And then it'll usually, if you got a little bit of a snag or it feels like it's dragging just a little bit, you'll take that paper and just do that a few times, just 2 or 3 times. That'll usually buff off any kind of little burr that may be sticking up from your sharpening here. And so, and this method, the nice thing is if you've got some older, if you've got Barry King edgers, if you can find the rod, you don't necessarily need a, I mean, I don't know if Ron sells just these or not, but you can find rod anywhere, brass rod or just a steel rod or something, that just make sure that it's the same size as your cutting surface in there. So if you were trying to sharpen some, like if you were trying to sharpen this Barry King edger and you had some rods as well, you might go through and look at the rods and just see how they fit inside that common edger slot there, and just use the one that fits the best. You can also sharpen the Osborne edgers and stuff like that. Sharpening any of these tools is just a lot of just being mindful of where the cutting surface is in the tool and what plane you need to be or what angle you need to be for it to do its job. And so, but that's my rundown on sharpening these Ron's edgers in particular. Other edgers I've sharpened on my common ones and my Barry King edgers and other things with them, and it works exactly the same way. But that's my rundown on sharpening the edgers. Check it out, try it. Like I said, if you don't have Ron's edgers, but you've got some Tandy edgers or even the Osborne common edgers or whatever you've got, try to go to a hardware store or a little steel supply place and find some just little drop-offs. I mean, just little pieces of metal. You just want them smooth. You don't want something out of the old scrap pile out there that's got bumps and rust on it. And get something like that and just find them that fit your tool, and then use that emery cloth and a little bit of that paper, and I'm telling you, you can keep your edgers sharp and working well every day with no problems. So I hope you enjoyed that. Thank y'all. Be sure and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.